Okay, you should know by now what I'm going to say. Yes, I'm talking about this again, and that's because there's oh so much more to discuss. But before I get into this, I just want to put out a disclaimer. Much of what I say is not merely an opinion. I'm just going by the evidence that I've collected. For those who think I shouldn't talk about this or that it's pathetic or something, I just want to say this quickly. So when someone puts themselves out there, when they allow themselves to be called one of the most experienced and educated toucan carers in the country, and they believe they're entitled to donations and people that pay for their personal bills, that person would certainly be subject to criticism, and I am allowed to ask questions. Then add on the fact that this guy is supposedly criticizing us, and by us I'm saying those of us who keep exotic pets and support the exotic pet trade, for the most part. I too invite criticism, of course. All I ask of you, though, is to address what I say and understand my arguments. So yeah, try listening, keep an open mind, breathe, and give it real consideration. Or just ignore me and go about your day. That's your choice. Also, guys, please do not try to blindly defend Brock by bothering me with your insults if you haven't even listened to what I have to say. So anyway, let's just jump right into this. So Brock has a new bird already. And there's so much wrong here, it's hard to pick a starting point. So setting aside the Maeve stuff, which of course I will be making a video about, sorry y'all, but I have a lot to say about that as well. But I should have an article about that up right now if you're interested in that. But at this point, Brock is hiding in plain sight with his blatant hypocrisy. So again, he stated that toucans shouldn't be pets, for anyone who forgot.
That's the reason why I say they shouldn't be pets. I don't recommend them as pets.
I remember arguing with one of his fans in the past about him buying Maeve instead of rescuing, and they gave me the lame excuse that he had placed a deposit on that bird a while ago, and when he decided to start quote-unquote adopting toucans, he had to accept his original purchase. Well, I wonder what that person is thinking right now. Not long after Maeve passed, he's already ran out and got a replacement for her. What's even more sickening is that apparently he's trying to pass this bird that he paid thousands of dollars for as a rescue as well. Now, he hasn't exactly said that on his channel. I actually got into an argument, of course, with someone on his channel who told me that he said this to his little group of Patreons. I'll just read exactly what that person said. I know how she, meaning Maeve, was bought. I'm a Patreon, so I know all he has shared about her. And as he shared where she came from, he himself said he feels like in some ways she was rescued. While it may not be a rescue in the traditional sense, one can see it like she was rescued from possibly having a worse fate had she not been bought by Brock, who will treat her the best and not breed her. I mean, can you believe that comment? But anyway, so I haven't seen that comment. I haven't seen exactly what Brock said, as I'm obviously not on his Patreon, but I would not put that past him at all. He's even going as far as to act like his Patreons asked him to get the bird, which would be a stupid reason to buy an animal anyway, if true. Here's what someone else said to me. Patreons voted and chose willingly to help him get the new bird. No one was hoodwinked or misled. In response to me saying that he's basically defrauding people by telling people he rescues these birds. So basically at this point, Brock has his fans convinced that no matter what he does, he is always doing it for the greater good. Basically, he is probably just going to keep buying birds just like he wanted to.
They're always one of my favorite species, you know, and when I saw that they were available, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity, because I've loved them so much since I was a kid.
From wherever the heck he wants, and he's just going to call them a rescue in some convoluted way. Or that he's using the birds as ambassadors. Let me give you some idea of how ludicrous this is. If he truly doesn't think these birds should be pets, and let's just be clear, I don't believe he does, why would he need a quote ambassador of a rare toucan like Rhea? They're already extremely rare as pets. If he's so worried about people keeping them as pets, why is he buying them? Why is he promoting them? Why are the majority of his videos about presenting them as looking like they're fun to own and milking the public for donations so that he can just buy more? This excuse he gives that she is an ambassador is so ridiculous, so nutty. I really just, I don't understand how anyone is buying this. I just can't. Brock clearly seems to think he's some kind of expert on toucan care, as I've proven with that comment that he has on his Discord. He's acting like any bird he buys is a rescue because no one else can care for it properly. Speaking of that, Rhea was not weaned when Brock got her because he states he fed her formula until her feeding response went away. That's actually very significant. Now I'm going to go into more detail about that in my next video, but the toucan experts Brock actually got his information from, including the theory that Maeve was immunocompromised, they're dead set against the practice of selling unweaned birds, and they actually think that contributed to what happened with Maeve. Brock knows this. They believe only trained professionals should take on birds like that. So this means either Brock thinks he's actually a trained professional, which he isn't, or it means he ignored the advice of those people. Again, I'm going into so much more detail in the next video, and I've spoken to quite a few people on this matter already. But as far as exotic pet owner hypocrisy, I have to say, Brock quite literally ticks every single box. Looking at someone like, say, Carol Baskin, for instance, I've often spoken about her in the past as still being able to technically own the cats that she's trying to ensure no one else can have. I definitely do feel like she is a hypocrite who is ultimately benefiting from her so-called rescues, but I'm actually going to give her credit. She does not treat her cats like pets. She doesn't interact with them in a hands-on kind of way. She doesn't get cute babies to cuddle with and do other things that regular pet owners get to enjoy. She had to give that stuff up. Most importantly, she doesn't buy cats, and she forces anyone she gets a cat from to sign a contract that they won't get any more. Now let's take a look at Brock's impressive list of contradictory behavior. He says toucans and other exotic animals shouldn't be pets. Then what does he do? He just buys them from breeders just like anyone else, just like me, just like any exotic pet owner. With perhaps the only difference being that he is supported by people forking over their money to him. So he buys from breeders. Check 1. Check 2. He treats them entirely like pets and enjoys them as pets. He's not housing them in a massive cage, keeping his hands off of them so they can live quote-unquote naturally without being a tame pet. The vast majority of his videos are for fun and amusement and simply making them look desirable to own as pets. Check 3. Check 4. He feeds them junk food, and for someone who claims he's trying to show how difficult toucans are to care for, that certainly flies in the face of that 100%. Check 5, he's making money off of them and essentially exploiting them. Check 6, he gave the excuse that he didn't want to rescue a bird in California from a pet store because he said something about he doesn't believe they should be sold in pet stores, and that they'll just replace the bird if he got that one. And then what did he do? He buys a bird from an exotic pet broker. Now who is this broker? I'm about 99% sure I know where the bird came from. And guess what? They are people who I've bought a rare exotic pet from. Let's just present my evidence. As usual, I stumbled upon this purely by accident again. It just keeps happening to me. I actually saw another red-billed toucan being sold online that is around the same age as Rhea. So I got to thinking, could this be the place? Then I saw they were located in Texas. I sent them an email asking where the bird being sold came from, and do they have any females, knowing that they shouldn't have a female Rhea's age left. So I was told the birds come from a zoo. And if I'm right, Mr. Help Me Move to a New House paid $6,500 of his donator's money for this bird. So chances are this is the place where he got the bird. I don't know the name of the zoo. I'm not going to tell anyone who these people are, but let me just say they are absolutely not people who you'd want to give money to if you are supposedly against the exotic pet trade. They do sell mostly to USDA licensed facilities, but sometimes to the public. Again, I've bought an animal from them. And they import a lot of exotic animals too, including, I believe, that some are actually wild caught. So I was taken aback that someone who says they are anti-exotic pet would buy from these people. Or maybe I wasn't, because what he says is obviously BS. Also, his claim that the bird comes from an AZA zoo is strange. I pretty much thought that AZA members weren't allowed to sell animals to people who would sell to the private pet trade. However, I couldn't prove this. This was the best I could find on the AZA's manual. It says, in transfers to non-AZA entities, AZA members must perform due diligence and should have documented validation, including one or more letters of reference, for example, from an appropriate AZA professional, fellow, or other trusted source with expertise in animal care and welfare, who is familiar with the proposed recipient and their current practices, and that the recipient has expertise and resources required to properly care for and maintain the animals. And the recipient must have the necessary expertise and resources to support and provide the professional care and management. So basically, I mean, I would think that the AZA would not want to sell animals to people who sell to pet owners. But hey, I mean, I didn't know that this particular broker qualified with AZA's rigid standards. So, I mean, if they do, then great. But Brock also claims Ripley came from an AZA zoo. So if he's telling the truth, well, that just continues to show just what kind of massive hypocrite he must be. Not only supporting the exotic pet trade, but supporting zoos selling to middlemen who will sell to pet owners. It's all in all an absurd situation. And also, this is great to know, as the AZA are also hypocrites, and I'll talk about them later, or write about them. So anyway, for Brock to suggest to people that Rhea is a rescue is so disgusting, as he obviously is just going to buy the pets he wants, and it's on his donator's dime. He's already said many times that red-billed toucans are his favorites. So he's just getting the bird that he wants to get. Not saving anything, he's just helping himself. I was actually thinking when Maeve died, no more red bills for him. He's never going to find such a rare bird in a rescue situation. And then boom, he gets another one. And he wants to be praised for it. So just let that sink in. He wants to be praised for spending your money on a bird that he wants. And I didn't even mention the fact that he was offered another bird for free by the original breeder, which again, I'll talk about that in the next video. But had he got that bird, he could have at least made the excuse that he was hurting that breeder by taking away another sale from him. But he wasn't cooperative with that breeder because he refused to send them proof in the form of the necropsy that the bird died due to the reasons that he claimed. So again, more info on that later. I have a ton to say about that. But so anyway, for those of you who think I'm talking about this because I'm jealous or something, keep in mind there are many successful YouTubers who I can be talking about right now. So why him? I want you to try and think. Stop making irrational excuses for this stuff. Here's my essential belief, if anyone cares, and the reason why I do what I do. I think the exotic pet trade should be legal. Yup, I do. I believe that animal ownership in general provides opportunities for people to become interested in animals, possibly pursue STEM-related careers, or even just makes people happy and gives them something to do with their lives because, well, people like different things, and there's no logical reason for animals to be illegal unless there's something really wrong with keeping a certain species. Because I'm not unanimously in favor of keeping every single species. It's just certain species of which there's no logical reason for them to be illegal. Then enter people like Brock, who want to talk crap about exotic pet owners while building their ideal existence. Keeping any animals they want, telling everyone else they can't do it, and being irrational in general. So basically, he's actually one of the most spoiled, arrogant, and entitled exotic pet owners I've ever witnessed. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say on the topic. So, I mean, if you appreciate what I say, great, that's cool. Or even if you don't, I mean, if you at least listen to the whole thing and you understand what I'm saying, that's great too. So, anyway, that's it.